The Cars Tour made some big announcements at a press conference in Charlotte yesterday. Specifically, they announced that they have a new sponsor. ZMAX is now the official sponsor of the Cars Tour. Is now the ZMAX Cars Tour instead of the previous Solid Rock Carriers Cars Tour. They also announced their schedule where they will be returning to North Wilkesboro twice next year. In fact, the final race of the season will be at North Wilkesboro. They also announced that they would be returning to Orange County Speedway. We also had confirmation that they will also be streaming on Flow Racing next year as well, continuing that partnership that they made this past year. We also got some comments from Dale Earnhardt Jr. about the fact that they are going to be trying to weed out any kind of fighting, especially among teams on pit road. Before we get to what Dale Earnhardt Jr. had to say, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our videos here at John Trent Racing. So Dale Earnhardt Jr. actually spoke about wanting to basically get rid of fighting within the Cars Tour, and he was asked about this by one of the reporters there, Alan Cavana, and this is what Dale Earnhardt Jr. had to say. Let's take a listen.
If you're going to be on Flow and you have this ambition to, get thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people to tune in and see your product, you cannot have fighting in the pits, and you cannot have, that kind of unprofessional activity. You just can't. It's not going to work for our partners. Like ZMAX, and so we put it on our team owners and our drivers. Like, we hold you responsible to manage those type of emotions in the moment, and all of us being owners and drivers in our past can understand the emotions, but there's a lot on the line here for the Cars Tour every week. And we expect our owners and our drivers to appreciate that and understand it.
So that is what Dale Earnhardt Jr. had to say. You can tell that he was clearly making it clear that they will not be having fights in the pits among teams, and he expects the drivers to behave professionally. We saw them kind of set a line in the sand, especially in the pro late models, with the second to last race of the season, where we saw Katie Hettinger retaliate against Caden Quaffle. She was parked for the rest of the night. She was then suspended for the next race, where she was actually in the championship hunt against Caden Quaffle. Could have made a run for that championship, but did not get that opportunity due to her retaliation and the consequences of that. We also saw them suspend Connor Jones during the Cars Tour. He was put on probation, and then he decided to do some kind of aggressive driving, and they suspended him for that. So they have definitely made it very clear that they don't want that type of retaliation, that type of racing happening. We saw them dole out some pretty hefty financial penalties when they had the pit road fight. Also at Tri-County in that pro late model race when we had Gavin Bichelle spun out Ashton Higgins. Ashton Higgins then ran across the track, kind of banged his fists on the hood, and then kind of a pit road melee broke out. So, and they issued a number of fines for a lot of the people involved in that. So they definitely want to keep that down. I'm not sure if that is like the best thing for the sport. I do think that some of that stuff is kind of part of the sport. It's like hockey. You have fighting and that happens, but obviously you're punished for it afterwards, right? And you have a 5-minute penalty. There are certain fights where you can be expelled from the game, and then the NHL might suspend later on. So I think that trying to like just kind of remove it from the sport, I'm not sure if that's a great idea, because I do kind of see it as part of the sport. People do get those emotions get hot-headed, and you do kind of have some fisticuffs being laid out, and sometimes that's how you have to deliver the message. And I think that's better than doing it with a vehicle. I think the vehicle is a much more powerful weapon. I know that they're very safe now, but I still think maybe delivering that message with a fisticuff might be better. And we've seen even NASCAR Cup Series drivers like Kyle Busch say that this year when he was talking about some of the aggressive driving he's seeing from younger drivers. So I'm not sure if I actually totally agree with like getting rid of it. I obviously, as a spectator, I find it somewhat entertaining. Sometimes it does get too far. I think when you have those kind of pit road melees where all the teams are getting involved. That is a little bit ridiculous, and you want to tamp down on that. But I think if it's just driver to driver and they want to go at it, and it's very similar to how NHL does it. A lot of times the enforcers or I guess they don't really have the enforcers anymore, but the tough guys, they have an understanding that they are going to fight, and you have that fight take place. And I think if the drivers want to settle something like that, I think that is totally a-okay. And you would think that the sponsors might see that as something beneficial to the sport, especially if they actually do truly indeed love the sport of short track racing that the Cars Tour is. So those are kind of my thoughts on the matter. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think about what Dale Earnhardt Jr. had to say here about him kind of seemingly, in my opinion, it sounds like he's trying to get rid of fighting altogether in the Cars Tour. Do you think that is a good idea? Do you think that fighting is kind of just part of short track racing and that's kind of how it's going to be? Or do you see them trying to kind of change the culture of short track racing and really try and stamp that out? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.